So is Joyce Meyer actually making better decisions than Jack Hibbs and Michael Youseff and David Jeremiah? We'll talk about that, but this article is from Protestia. Apparently, Joyce Meyer is leaving Daystar. That's the headline. Joyce Meyer and Jimmy Evans announced that they are leaving the Daystar Television Network. So the article states, Daystar Television Network continues to enjoy the fallout from their ongoing scandal, with 2 shows announcing their departure from the imploding megacorporation in late November of 2024. So some people have already left. It says Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson announced that she and her show, Laura Lynn Live at the Eagle's Nest, they were parting ways from Daystar, which was quickly followed by many others. And there's a list here of people who have left Daystar. Most notable would be Jesse Duplantis, also Jack Graham. But I would say Jesse Duplantis and now Joyce Meyer are probably the biggest names. Now it says Joyce Meyer Ministries has announced that they are at least pausing their relationship with Daystar, citing the scandal in an email shared with the Dallas Morning News by Joyce Meyer Ministry CEO Dan Meyer. And I think Dan Meyer is Joyce Meyer's son. He said that Daystar has been a long-standing broadcast partner helping our ministry to share the life-changing message of Jesus around the world. Yeah, well, I've heard Joyce Meyer and her program, and it's a lot of self-help, motivational speaking, not a lot of scripture. Actually, I don't know if I've ever seen her open a Bible. I'm sure she probably does at some point, but the only sermon I've heard from Joyce Meyer is the one from years ago where she said that Jesus died and went to hell. That's the only sermon I've heard from her. Today, it's, like I said, more self-help, motivational speaking. But anyways, back to the story. They're putting out this the statement that they are troubled by the allegations surrounding the Daystar Television Network. And, my question is, okay, what has changed? You talk about in recent weeks. Nothing has changed that I know of. I think it's almost certainly pressure that is building. So Joyce Meyer is giving in to pressure, or, as I suspect, Daystar's ratings, they have to be down. Maybe they're way down, I'm not sure, but they have to be down. So, like with everything else about Joyce Meyer, it probably comes down to money. If she does leave, it's probably, at least in part, a financial decision. But then he talks about how his mother, Joyce, she has a story of abuse as well. So she takes this seriously, this child sex abuse and alleged cover-up, alleged abuse, alleged cover-up, because Daystar is trying to sue people who are, accusing them of things. Well, again, if that's the issue, if Joyce Meyer is concerned about the alleged abuse and the alleged cover-up, why didn't they pause their show months ago when the story broke? Then he wrote, Dan Meyer, this is again Joyce Meyer's son, he wrote, the decision to suspend programming was not an easy one to make, but myself, my brother, our mom and dad, so it's like a family business, the ministry, along with other ministry leadership, we believe it is necessary at this time. When and if this situation is resolved, we will potentially consider resuming our programming on Daystar. So there you go. It looks like that, yes, Joyce Meyer is leaving Daystar. And then Daystar posted this message to Twitter in response to Joyce Meyer leaving. Daystar writes, we love and appreciate Joyce Meyer, blah, blah, blah. Her time slots will be filled by programmers on our waiting list. So this is the problem. Even if false teachers like Joyce Meyer and Jesse Duplantis leave Daystar, there's always a dozen more false teachers, waiting in the wings to take their place. So it's not like things are going to get better. And I have to point this out, okay? How sad it is, and this is my first thought when I read this article, how sad it is that Joyce Meyer and Jesse Duplantis have the sense to leave Daystar, but Jack Hibbs isn't leaving. Michael Youseff, David Jeremiah, Ray Comfort. I haven't heard any of them talk about leaving Daystar. So it's pretty sad. And, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know how else to interpret this, but it's pretty sad when Joyce Meyer seems to be making better decisions than someone like Jack Hibbs. I mean, I'm just saying. And if you've been following my podcast, I did reach out to Jack Hibbs and some of these other ministries, Ray Comfort, David Jeremiah. So a few people that are on Daystar that are considered more dependable Bible teachers. I got either no response from these men, or the response I did get from Jack Hibbs. He said, no, we're not changing direction. We're going to stay on Daystar. We're going to continue programming on Daystar. There was really no consideration for leaving at all. Now, if that's changed, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if something has happened in the last day or two, or Jack Hibbs or one of these guys, say they are now leaving. I don't think so. Leave a comment if that's the case, but I haven't heard. So yeah, it looks like Joyce Meyer and Jesse Duplantis, at least in this situation, they're making better decisions than these other guys. I just think that's sad. Like, it doesn't make sense. Why aren't these other guys leaving? Why is Joyce Meyer and Jesse Duplantis leaving, but not Jack Hibbs or David Jeremiah? Leave a comment if you think you can figure this out. But last week, the article continues. There's more fallout. Last week, XO Marriage host Jimmy Evans also announced he was departing from Daystar. Or was he leaving his... I think he stepped down from his main leadership position in his ministry. So he has a marriage ministry. Jimmy Evans is considered like a marriage guru. But he had to step down, or is stepping down from his main leadership position in that marriage ministry. And that's probably due to this spotlight that has now been put on Jimmy Evans, and how everyone now knows that he made a decision to bless and actually perform the new wedding for, well, it's not new now, but the new marriage for Joni Lamb and Doug Weiss. Most people now clearly see that Jonathan Lamb, Joni Lamb's son, was totally right. This is not a biblical marriage, has all the hallmarks of adultery. So the point is, if you're known for running a marriage ministry, you're the marriage guru, but you're affirming adultery, yeah, that's not good. But it's just more of the same, with Daystar. It's just kind of all of this stuff just goes along with their other heresies, the heretical prosperity gospel, name it and claim it. Their programs. I did that podcast a few days ago, last week, where that woman said that she worked for Daystar. She worked the phones, and yeah, she basically said we were scamming people. We were scamming the poor, the sick, and the elderly, and taking their money. Lies from the prosperity gospel, and yeah, it's a scam. This is who Daystar, this is what they're all about. So because of those reasons and the heresy that comes out of this network, Christians need to mark and avoid Daystar. This has been, the drum I've been hammering now for several weeks. And you say, based on what Bible verses? Well, I'll read them again. Romans 16 and also 2 John. This is what Paul writes in Romans 16, 17, and 18. He says, now I urge you, brethren, mark those who cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned. So if they're teaching false doctrine, mark them. And then he says, avoid them. For those who are such do not serve our Lord Jesus Christ, but their own belly, that is, their own desires. And by smooth words and flattering speech, they are able to deceive the hearts of the simple-minded. So people that teach false doctrine, they're smooth. They're like a con man. They're a smooth operator. They can convince people, and they scam. Again, they scam the sick, the poor, and the elderly over at Daystar. Paul says, mark and avoid such people. And then 2 John 9 through 11, here's the thing. If you are aiding and abetting Daystar, if you are fellowshipping with Daystar and promoting them or giving them money, according to 2 John, you now become a partaker of their evil deeds. 2 John verses 9 through 11, the apostle writes, whoever transgresses and does not abide in the doctrine of Christ does not have God. He who abides in the doctrine, that is the true doctrine of Christ, has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this true doctrine of Christ, do not receive him into your house, nor greet him, for he who greets him shares in his evil deeds. So that's the update concerning Daystar. And this is the concerning thing about all of this. And of course, Daystar continues to promote some of the worst false teachers in the world. Kenneth Copeland, Creflo Dollar. But like I said, Joyce Meyer, this is the update, Joyce Meyer and Jesse Duplantis have left. But these other guys like Jack Hibbs and David Jeremiah and Ray Comfort, they're staying? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Joyce Meyer knows enough to leave, but Jack Hibbs says he's going to stay. I just don't get it. The Bible teaches that God's people are to be separate. These pastors have to know that. Like, Joyce Meyer doesn't even care about separation. But these other pastors have to know that. That's why I don't understand. But you can find this teaching of separation, which means to be set apart. You can read that in 2 Corinthians chapter 6. But that verse in 2 John also speaks of ecclesiastical separation, where God's people are to have nothing to do with false teachers. Like, don't even allow them in. Now, back then, it was taking them into your house, putting them up for the night, feeding them. But today, I would say don't allow them in through your television, right? Don't greet them. And Jack Hibbs, here's the thing, Jack Hibbs has fellowship with them. He actually went on Joni Lamb's broadcast, and he praised her up. And David Jeremiah even went on Jim Bakker's Jim Bakker is he's one of the worst of the worst. And these people go on their programs, and they're obviously on Daystar, so they must have some sort of contract with Daystar, and they pay money to Daystar and to Joni Lamb. And, I don't want to just repeat what I said in previous podcasts, but I'll end with this. Here's why I bring this up, and here's why I sort of hammer on that drum again. It is sort of about, yes, teaching people, but building pressure. Here's what I want to see. I want to see a positive example set. And think about it. Okay, I'll end with this. Think about how amazing it would be if a guy like Jack Hibbs or David Jeremiah or someone of that stature, what a testimony it would be if those men, number one, broke all ties with Daystar, and then they came out and preached against Daystar. Like, what if David Jeremiah put out a video like this, preaching against Daystar, or he preached a sermon and broke tie? I just wish that would happen. Because a guy like me, I can get 1,000 views, maybe 10,000 views, maybe 100,000 views at the most. But those men, if they did this, they would get the attention of millions. So in conclusion, just to go back to Joyce Meyer, the main story here, Joyce Meyer leaving Daystar, it may have been the public pressure that caused her to make that decision. And maybe that's what these other guys need. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not calling Jack Hibbs or Michael Youseff or David Jeremiah, I'm not calling them false teachers. I mean, I really like Michael Youseff. I've only heard good things from him. So I'm not against some of these guys. I mean, Jack Hibbs with the Hillsong, I think there are some more serious problems with him. But I'm not calling them false teachers, but I don't understand how they or someone like Ray Comfort can go on the Joyce Meyer program or go on Jim Bakker's program or go on Joni Lamb's program, shake their hand, give them a friendly greeting. I don't want to be cynical about their motivations, but just their continued association. To me, it just doesn't make sense that Joyce Meyer is making the right decision, leaving Daystar, and yet these guys continue to be on Daystar. So I just wish pressure would build and that these other guys would get off Daystar and that they would speak up. How amazing would that be, right? But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Because here's ultimately what I want to see the most. And I think most of my followers, subscribers on YouTube agree with this. Like, our main goal, the greatest desire would be that Daystar would shut down for good. But it would require all these big names leaving. So like I said, I did another video, or I doubt Daystar is going to go away forever. But here's the thing. I'll close with this. If more Christians start speaking up, it might happen. So if I can encourage a few people, or a few more people, to pick up the phone, send a few emails, let these ministries know, tell them, hey, I'm not going to donate money to you as long as you're on Daystar, because I don't want to give you my money and then you take my money and giving it to Joni Lamb. I don't want Joni Lamb getting a cut of my offering to your ministry. So think about that. If more people took action, we might actually see the end of this heretical network. And the prosperity gospel, if we want to eradicate it from the earth, or at least get close, we need to see networks like Daystar and TBN. We need to see them come to an end. So please pray about all of this. Consider picking up the phone, sending an email. That pressure, maybe that's the only thing that'll do it. But that's my goal. That's my desire. So Joyce Meyer leaves Daystar, but these other guys are staying. So thanks for listening. And until next time, may the Lord be with you. Have a great day.